baby.
What is going on, everybody? How are we doing today? I'm not gonna lie, I hijacked the show today. Not gonna happen often, but I think we needed to have a little conversation, some perspective, if I may. What's going on, everybody? Good to see you. It's been a week for me, and as you guys know, I actually did make a new channel, which made me think about this, which was perspective. I'm not gonna lie. I was having so many symptoms this last week, so many symptoms, and it was really, really rough. And sometimes there's certain moments where I'm like, what am I going to need to go to the hospital? Is this happening? Like it's this huge ordeal. And it sucks because I've tried to manage this the best I can and it hasn't been fun. So I'm not gonna lie, this is from my perspective right now that we need to have this conversation. It's good to have you here. So it's been a week, let's put it that way. And you know, the way that it feels, let me just describe it real quick because I'm sure other people have stuff like this happen to them. But for me, I get super weird like neurological issues, and then all of a sudden I feel like I'm like starting to get numbness and just like loss of blood in one side, which is exactly what causes the strokes. And there's also just a panic. When you feel any kind of numbness on one side, for me, I just get immediate panic. I'm like, is it going to happen? Because I remember I woke up to it and all I thought was my arm was like completely dead. It just felt so like you had laid on it. But I was not. I was on my left arm when I felt it. And then I tried to like shake my hand. I was like shaking blood into it, like freaking out because it felt like there was nothing in there. And then again, the face droop and all that stuff happened. So long story short, when I start having those symptoms, it just kind of is a reminder, like life is really fragile. And no matter how grateful I am that I'm here right now, not in the hospital, I almost thought I had to be in the hospital. And I've had just that perspective always comes back anytime that I'm like, this is real. This is real. And this is something that could happen at any moment. And it makes me think about my life overall. And I guess I just wanted to share that today more than I wanted to do one of our shows. But this life we have is really fragile. We take it for granted every day. And every day we walk around with plans, which is beautiful. We have plans, we think of things, but it always is very fragile. And that's just what life is. And I just want to encourage you that tomorrow, you don't want to wait for everything tomorrow. And what I mean by that is you don't want to wait to tell people you love them tomorrow. You don't want to spend your days thinking everything's going to work out perfectly because life just doesn't work like that. And I just want everybody to, again, I feel like this has been the biggest lesson of this year for me, is just really being in the moment and saying to yourself that I want to be present right now, today, in this moment, and I want to enjoy what I have. And then I also want to be grateful and have gratitude, because if something happens, that's it. It's it. There's no second chances and there's no coming back from it. And unfortunately, that happens to so many people. And you just one day, everything is gone, or someone you love is just gone. So it's really great perspective to say to everyone today that I want us to just be grateful. And the best way to do that is to stop thinking about the negatives and really start to think about what you're grateful for. Um, because, man, it's not easy when life is hard. It's not. But being grateful means that you gain perspective. I truly believe that. And it's whatever you're feeding yourself. If you're constantly saying, I hate my life, I wish it was better, I wish this was this, it would be different because your perspective is always somewhere else and you don't like what you have in front of you. So it's not good. It is not good. But I wanted to share a little bit more about kind of where I'm at, and then I want to be able to read some of your guys' comments. I'm going to read this in just a second. I'll let you guys read it and I'll read it out loud in a second. So, number one thing I would say is that, oh, man, it's heavy. I don't want it to be a heavy conversation. I just want it to be a good conversation, but it's a heavy thing. But all of a sudden, someone you love is gone. It makes you think it could be you next. Just at least for me, I was like, well, at any moment, anytime, anything can happen. And have I done enough in my life? Have I lived a life worth leaving? Not even a word legacy, but I don't know. Have I done things with the time that I had? Because in my mind, oh, I have this. I'm going to do this in this amount of time, years, and I'm going to plan this out. I think those are great. But if there's something you can do today, like telling someone you love them, or bearing the hatchet if you possibly can with somebody, I think it is really worth it. I think it's really worth it. And I told you guys that happened with my dad. That was on me. I stopped talking to him because I thought he had cheated, and I lost him just like everybody else. And I never got not even closure. We didn't even have another conversation, and that was my fault. And I used to hold a really heavy burden with that. And now I just say it gain perspective. I wish we would have at least had a conversation. I wish he knew how much I actually really loved and appreciated him. And even if he had cheated, that it didn't make him not my dad, even though he wasn't my biological father. So, things like that. It changes the way you look at your life. And I think that's a good thing. I think it's a healthy thing. And I think that more importantly, today is a great day to just reset. That's what it is for me. I'm just resetting and just thinking to myself how important it is to be grateful and be grateful for what I have right here. Because that endless chase of trying to get something else or something new or bigger and better really is destroying the life that you could be living today with and enjoying. I got breast cancer, okay. And I had to do chemo and radiation, and that was 7 years ago, and I swear I still feel the side effects from surgery, chemo, and radiation. It sucks, but I'm grateful to still be here. I know, I'm sorry, I'm sure that does suck. Now, there's things that are life-changing, so let's acknowledge that. There's a lot of things that are life-changing that we have to live with. It sucks. I don't know why. I don't have those answers. But I do know that you're still here, and that's a beautiful thing. And look at what you get to do in your life. People who love you have you in their life still. So I think that's beautiful. It's a blessing, but it doesn't mean it's easy. It doesn't mean it's easy, So, this is an interesting question. Do you wish you had a time machine will ever exist so you can go back in time and save Tylee and JJ? I mean, would I save them? Of course, but I don't believe that would ever happen. And that's kind of lives in the what if. I think it's actually really important to not live in that mentality, because I'm never going to have a time machine that lets me go back and save their lives and have a different outcome. So I think more importantly, it's actually better to radically accept your situation and say to yourself, I'm living in the result of what happened, and it's unfortunate, but it doesn't mean that I could change it if I wanted to. And so for me, perspectives for what can I do and what is God in charge of, and I can't do anything about it. But obviously I used to have that mentality. I wish I could save or do this but again, if I knew that was going to happen, then I wouldn't have done it then. Right. So I don't know. It just, I think you have to get to a point of acceptance. And that's the hardest part about losing people. It is the hardest part about life is accepting your situation. It really is. You have to battle yourself. Like, no, I shouldn't, this, I don't deserve this. What did I do to deserve this? Whatever your mentality is. But that's just, yeah, it's not ever going to be fruitful. Just put it that way. Oh, thank you. That's sweet of you. It's actually my really old watch. I've had this. My girls got this for me for Father's Day 2 years ago, and I've never really taken it off. I don't have a lot of watches though. I have like two. One from them. I think they're both from them. They're both from my girls. So yeah, if you ever see me with a watch, and thank you. That was sweet of you. But yeah, it's really important to have acceptance in your life. And for me, I had to do the same thing the other day. I had to re-accept the fact that I have this health issue. It sucks, but I'm not the only one who's suffering. You know, I'm not the only one who's going through health issues or life things going on and hard times. And so I guess my point is to try to be an encouragement in those moments and say that we have to be there for each other the best we can in this community. And then two, it's really important to have perspective. It's really, really important to have that. Yeah. 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 It changes your life when you lose someone forever. That's acceptance, though. That's the part of that acceptance. And I think that was the hardest part for me is because a lot of times people, I think, feel like I wish I could be like I was, or this was a happier time in my life. And this was this. And I'm not saying it's wrong to feel that way. What I think now is I'm a completely different person. I don't have the people, and my life will never be the same as it was. That's part of the acceptance. And then going from there, what can I do to heal? How can I leave a memory and leave space for my family? And for me to tell their stories if I can through the documentary, but that's just because I want to shine light on them because of the way they've been portrayed. But going into that place of radical acceptance really is that simple, is that I just need to be understanding of my circumstances and they might not change. And I believe in God, but not every time miracles are going to change your circumstances. Not that he doesn't do miracles, but if it's not in his will, it's really hard to accept that he might not take something away, right? Like if I prayed, which I have, to have my, be healed from meningitis, and that way I don't have to deal with this ever again, it's still there. Does that mean God hates me or doesn't exist? No, not at all. It just means that there's something about it that I have no control over. And, is this going to sound crazy? You guys are going to think I'm crazy. I promise you I'm not. But I have a perspective like this, and I think it took me years to get here. I have no plans of going anywhere or not being here for my kids. But if that did happen, I have to be understanding that it's outside of my plan. I can't stop it. And I think that's what I mean, is that none of us have the power or the control over our lives to sit here and say, well, I'm going to do this for this amount of time. It's like, I think it's worth fighting. Everything's worth fighting for. Your life is worth fighting for. And I don't want people to give up. I'm not trying to say that. But what I am saying is ultimately, at the end of the day, we don't have control over today, tomorrow, or anything. And so that surrendering is actually really healing, because then you can say, what do I need to do to not live in this idea of control that doesn't exist, but what can I do with what I have, which is what you're given, which is this time, whatever amount of time you've got. And as crazy as this is going to sound, I think that God allowed what happened to my family to happen. And what am I going to say? Well, God, you were wrong. He allowed it to happen. I don't know why. I can't change it though. And I'm not in charge. So today is important to say the things you should say. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't mean everything's perfect, or that let's say you have a strange relationship with someone. It doesn't mean that relationship is going to be perfect or mended or anything. It just means maybe you said what you need to say. Maybe you've got some things off your chest, and That's it. I mean, that's what you can live with that. At least I can. So I don't know. I just wanted you guys to have that today. It's kind of the lesson of the week. I was getting really upset, to be honest, for the first time. I know it sounds weird, but I think for this time to have these symptoms, to have it be this much harder than it has to be, and just have some of the life stuff that I'm going through right now happening, I just thought to myself, like, what the hell? This is just a lot. It's just always feel like a lot. And I feel like I'm always pushing up. You guys ever seen that example where the guy's walking against the rock, like a rolling rock, pushing it up the mountain? It feels like a lot of times I just am constantly in that state of pushing against a force that's so strong. And for me, I'm trying not to be negative because it's not going to change anything, right? So if I'm given this position in life, this burden, or whatever the case may be, whatever you want to call it, this is my life. So being mad and not accepting it doesn't change that. Oh, well, I'm just going to pretend I don't have meningitis, and I'm going to pretend that everything is great, and I'm just going to not go to the doctor. I'm not going to take my medicine. I'm just going to pretend I don't have it. That's not healthy, right? That's not real, because in real life, in reality, I have it. And so again, it's not healthy to think that way. So that's what I'm trying to say today is, what can you do with your day today? What can be, I don't know. It's so crazy how powerful you actually are. You have no idea. You have no idea like what your mental can be if you just start feeding yourself the right things. You just have no idea. You start writing things down in a journal. You just map it out. It's all in here anyway. And if you actually just got it out somehow, some way, whether that's through therapy or writing or whatever the case is, you got it out of your brain and onto something, you could categorize that. And you have no idea the unlimited potential that you have to actually be like, yeah, you know what? These are things I want to do. Here's a list of things. I don't want to ever call it a bucket list because that just sounds like very specific. But yeah, I mean, a list of things that are important to you that you would like to have accomplished. And then what is my first step in that next thing that I want to accomplish? What if it is as simple as I need to be more willing to take a risk and maybe start a business, or I don't know, just anything. People are so talented, but they're too scared to step out of their shell. So they don't ever go for it. They never try. They never want to. I'll just say this too. I mean, I never thought I'd have a channel. I've told you guys that multiple times. And I was really nervous to actually like have a channel because there's a lot of criticism and things that come with it. You're on the internet. So there's a lot to it. And I remember I was telling my boss, because at the time he's not like he was never like a normal boss. And he was asking me like, what do you want to do? Because I was at that point, that transition point in my life where I tried so many different things, and I'd worked in the fitness industry for a long time. And I just I knew what I wanted, but I was like, it was almost like, no, that's not realistic. I'll never really have that. Or, I'm not good enough to do that. Whatever the case is, I didn't even really have an exact idea. I just know what my passions are and what I'd want to be doing if it were the perfect world. So he basically asked me that question. What is it that you want to do in a perfect world? And I said, I really want to do have a media company. And I think I like talking. I like sharing my life. I like having, people to share it with. And, just like, I just ran down this whole list of what this community is. It's so crazy. And he's like, well, why don't you do that? I was like, I don't know. I really don't have an answer. I mean, at the time I was like, well, I would want at least the minimum, a camera and a laptop, because those are two really important things. You can do it from your phone, but it's a lot harder. And he pushed me on it. And he was like, is that what you really want to do? And I said, yeah, that's what I really want to do. And at the time I had so much to say. I had so many opinions. And especially with my family stuff, I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, I'm not going to sit here and try to fix rumor mill, but I do have things to straighten out and facts. I want to have some facts straightened out. And so, you know what he did? He bought me a camera, my first camera, and he bought me a laptop. And he said, I want to buy you this stuff and you can pay me back later. He said, he gave me like a long period of time, like a year plus to pay him back. He said, I just want you to start. But he said, if I do this, promise me you'll start, because you'll have no excuse. And I said, okay. Like, I'll do it. I have no idea what's going to happen, but I'll do it. And so he bought me a camera, he bought me a laptop, and the first ever Star Wars podcast was in a room with an echo with a white sheet in the back, the room where I interviewed Lori for the first time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I tell you that story because I would have never really, I didn't want to take the leap of faith, let's call it. And I didn't know what it was going to be. I'm weird. I talk myself out of things because I'm an overthinker. So I'll be like, yeah, like, it's not going to amount to anything, or maybe, you kind of say all these things to yourself, like no one's going to care, or it's not going to turn into, I couldn't have imagined it. I couldn't imagine what we have today. No idea what was going to happen in the future. And we still have a future to be had. And, I'm grateful for that. I'm excited to see what comes next too, but crazy. And I just tell you that today because it's part of the same core theme that I'm trying to get to is you don't know until you do it. You don't know what's going to happen, but you got to be able to say to yourself, today's the day. At some point, it's got to be the day. And yes, you need to let God have it be the season, be the time. Don't rush it. But at the same time, some things God blesses after. So think about farming. This has always been my number one analogy in my own head. I don't know why, but think about farming and the fact that the only way to have a crop grow is to put it in the ground and do all the work that goes around farming. And then God can bless that. I think that's what I mean. So like the work sometimes is necessary, and then you can pray for the rain, if that makes sense. Like it's always like for me, give the part you can. Today, giving that part is taking the best care of yourself, choosing yourself for the first time in your life if you never have, giving yourself some grace, loving yourself, stop judging yourself, stop talking harshly to yourself, just start loving you, and everything else will start to follow in that train of picking what I'm going to do next. What am I going to do next in my life? And what's important? What is important to me? If I go tonight, could I have done more? And I think every single person who's ever, if you would have had an opportunity to choose, you'd say, yes, I could have done more. But we really could. We really could do more. That's what I mean. So when are we going to give more? When is that day come when we actually, I'm going to do it. I'm going to give more. There's not going to always be a perfect time. There's not going to always be this perfect moment. We're not all going to have, unfortunately, a bedside movie death where we get to say goodbye to everybody one by one and let all the people we know that we love say a little bit of something and then slowly pass away. Like that's the problem that we have. I think we have a romanticized version even of what our deaths would look like. Maybe we don't think about it. And I don't want us to be thinking about death. I'm just saying in general terms, we don't have this perfect amount of time, or we're all, going to go a certain way. It might happen really fast. Like a lot of times death is really just fast. Even if you think you're prepared, it's a fast occurring thing. And that's it. You're gone. So I guess choosing what you're going to do today is very important. I just want to share that message with you today because I love you guys and I love our community. And I think that we all have so much more to give to this world. You guys have so much more to give this world than you probably ever give yourself credit for. And maybe you're not no one's speaking that into your life, but you need to understand that you have so much more valuable pieces of you that aren't even at the surface. And maybe it's because you are blocking yourself or telling yourself a different time, or I don't know. You're just not allowing your light to shine. So allow your light to shine and be who you were made to be. And you can start by doing that and choosing that today by deciding on what you're going to do next. Because I feel a lot of us have that in us. Yes, I know what I want to do. It should be a question of how do I get there? Not do I really want to do this? No. A lot of us know, yeah, this is what I want to do. But how? That's the question. And then you can do something with that. You can't do something with when you're just too overwhelmed to think about it. Your life is so valuable, so valuable. So love yourself and take care of yourself. That's what I wanted to share today. Um, yeah, we have a community choice Wednesday this Wednesday. You guys want to talk cases. So I'd like for you, if you would want to talk cases, to drop them in the chat and I will have that ready for you. Tomorrow and Tuesday, we'll be doing our show. So I'll see you guys there. And other than that, I love you guys and appreciate you. And remember how valuable you really are. Take care of yourself, love yourself, and understand that it's a journey and you've got support. And that's what this community has been continuously, is support for me, but for each other. I want to support you just as much as you support me. So yeah, I appreciate you guys, man. Love you. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.